Hey guys, new video for Path of Exile. Alright, so in this video we're going to go over the 3.25 Gauntlet build I'm playing. Am level 90, not dead yet. Yeah, it's a Bleed Lacerate Gladiator. So, funny thing, like when I first started playing Path of Exile, I was actually only playing hardcore, pretty much, like always, like only hardcore. And at the time, Bleed Lacerate Glad was like one of the better HC builds at the time, and it's something I played quite a bit. So now going back to the Gauntlet, figured it'd be fun to go revisit the build, play it again, and see what happens. Right, so Bleed Lacerate Glad actually was a pretty popular build this league, I think. I know some streamers were playing it, but I thought I'd give my take on it, especially in a SSF environment. Not really able to go and buy a lot of the items I would want to have, but have managed to make it work. We're at like about 1,000,000 bleed DPS right now with my kind of scuffed gear. As for Atlas, I am still in yellow maps. I just completed actually pretty much all of my yellow and white maps. And I think I will farm a little bit more in some yellow maps and then eventually start going into red maps later on tonight. Alright, so let's go into a kind of map showcase so you guys can see what it's like. And I gotta say, first of all, Lacerate, where is it? Lacerate is just terrible for clear. I mean, it's actually just completely trash. Especially the Lacerate of hemorrhaging, which is actually quite nice. I thought it'd be really cool. First time I'm trying the skill, but the big downside is before, like when I used to play, we'd play with like the stances, like a blood stance, sand stance, and when you would go clear maps, you would be in sand stance and get a lot more area, and your blade storms, or not your blade storms, your lacerates would have this big area of effect, right? To be like turned yellow. And you don't get that with the Lacerate of hemorrhaging, right? So you're just stuck in, it doesn't matter if you go to blood stance or sand stance, your lacerates are always going to be this red version, which are like very tiny. So you can see it's sort of like an angle like this in front of you. So and targets usually come behind you a lot of the time. So when they're behind you, you just can't hit them, and just feels really awkward. You attack them and then you have to like turn around, and then you can see it's actually like very, very bad. So what I'm actually doing is I'm actually just using like Blade Storm as well to sort of clear, which is kind of funny. So definitely very bad clear on this character, but it is extremely tanky with the Glad, max blocked, lucky spell block. The bleed explosions are okay, I guess, and they can't really chain because the bleed explosions themselves aren't applying bleed. Maybe there is a way to get them to apply bleed with like the bleed on hit enchant, or not enchant, but what do you call it, betrayal modifier or affix or whatever. But anyways, let's go into a map so you can see what it's like. Hopefully we don't die in the showcase. So we're going to do a toxic sewers. So as for the Atlas, nothing really special, right? I'm just doing some delirium for some cluster jewels and then trying to get some like expedition and harvest, pretty much. And have I did go into the shrines, and that's about it for now. So in the Gauntlet, I'm pretty much just kind of not really trying to, participate in the actual like race event, but just kind of like having fun playing the game. It actually is very fun. Usually I'm playing trade, making tons of divines and that kind of stuff, and it is kind of like a very nice switch, you could say, right? To play in a game, where you just play the game, right, instead of like playing trade. So in that sense, it is quite fun. This is Gwen, so we'll probably just skip it and keep going. So you see, I'm actually like using, what would you say, Blade Storm quite a bit for a lot of the clear. This guy is quite tanky. See if we can use a tincture. Tincture is amazing for bleed. Alright. So kind of like a ZDPS build, but it is what it is. It's kind of the price you pay for playing this sort of like tankier build. We have Betrayal spawn. Okay. I think we'll just leave them there for now. So you can see, character insanely tanky. We'll go over the stats later on, but we have like almost 1,000 normal HP regen, and then a lot of block, like about close to 50k elemental max hit with our guard skill up. And Fizz max hit a little bit low, but that's what it is. Let's get the map. Okay. Oh nice, we got the haste shrine. Okay. Alright, gotta watch out for this guy because he does detonate dead. But looks like he was alright. Yeah, I don't even know what to do in Betrayal. I'm just actually like randomly clicking things. But yeah. So you can see, this is kind of like what it is in the map, right? You kind of, I use my Blade Storms, I use my Lacerate, and it does end up working out, you know, decently. I think I might actually try to invest in some like increased area of effect. Maybe that'll make Lacerate feel a little bit better. But let's see, let's get some of this juice. Alright. Okay, nothing good here. I still haven't actually been able to, what would you say, invest in Harvest enough to where it's actually like giving lots of juice. I just got the spawn shaft right now, so returns are pretty bad. But as for like a hardcore character SSF, the build itself is actually pretty good. Like, very comfortably farming this content right now, and I've only gotten close to dying a few times actually. Very rarely ever close to dying. Most of it was actually in the campaign, right? Campaign actually very hard, but I guess once I got my lucky block, or like the block set up, it was pretty much cakewalk. And then, yeah, had tons of damage just from Lacerate. I think I had like about 200k DPS when I finished the campaign, so that's like pretty insane, right? Or not even finished, like by Act 9 I had like 200k DPS, which is like almost the same amount of damage you would have on a Hollow Palm character, right? Alright, so that is the map, what it kind of looks like. Let's go over the character real quick, you know, give my 2 cents about the build. Alright, so let's go over a couple of things that I'm doing a little bit differently than most builds. Main difference here is that we are going for a Poacher's Mark setup instead of a vulnerability. So there is like some tech you can do with vulnerability, General's Cry, auto exertion, that basically gives you like a curse on hit pretty much, right? The downside to that is I guess it does reserve mana, and you can see mana reservation, you know, a little bit tight on the build. I am running Pride and Purity of Elements as my 2 auras right now. Before I was actually running just Purity of Elements and Vitality, but now I swapped over to Pride. And basically, so why we're using Poacher's Mark? Poacher's Mark, it is like 10% less damage compared to Vitality, Vulnerability, but Poacher's Mark does give you a lot more sustain for like, specifically for mana sustain. So you can see we get 24 mana when we hit our marked target, and that's going to really help our tincture uptime. So basically I can sustain this for like almost a minute, pretty much, like, you know, 30-40 seconds of tincture uptime, which is pretty insane. When I'm running like the vulnerability setup, it falls off a lot faster. So that's one plus for the Poacher's Mark. It also does, or will give me, Frenzy Charge on hit on bosses. This is something you don't usually get on these Gladiator like bleed builds. They just don't have Frenzy Charge generation against bosses. So if you kind of like factor in the frenzies on single target and the tincture uptime, then Poacher's Mark is actually coming out ahead of vulnerability. So I think it's kind of it's a good idea to do. It also is like costing less mana, because when you're doing the vulnerability setup, it's like every couple of seconds you're casting vulnerability, whereas with Poacher's Mark it's only when you hit a rare enemy every now and then. Okay, so that is the sort of difference. Let's talk a little bit about the gear. I mean, not really much to say, but we have a pretty decent axe, like it's like 420 DPS axe. I did find a Vol's Vision, which is kind of interesting. I don't have any corrupted items, so I do get the 11% increased maximum life and 400 life regen per second. So because I found this, basically I dropped my vitality area. I guess I was thinking of actually running vitality and then specking into this like regen area here and get like, you know, close to 2000 life regen, like 1500 life regen. Probably get even more if I get more regen in other places, and that might be something I do in the future, but for now I have like about 800 or so. Yeah, 800 life regen. If I use my totem, it's not really leveled up, but yeah, it goes up to 1000. I am using a rejuvenation totem because this totem is pretty awesome. Okay, so that's that. I did find this Carnage heart like really early, got it from the boats. So using this, I haven't really found a better amulet yet, so I'm just using this. As for the rings, just some random rings that I found. The shield, 2 pretty basic shield. Did get a 5 link and did get some pretty good implicits on like my limited supply of Eldritch Ichors and that kind of stuff. So I was pretty happy with this. And then the gloves, 2 very basic gloves. I did find a Stygian Vice, got some good life on there. And the boots, 2 pretty basic boots. My flasks did end up turning out pretty good. Like we got some curse effect, we got armor, and 2 charges when you're hit on this. This one also has armor. I gotta change this flask for something else. But that's it. And the tincture here. I actually should probably try to make a better one because this is kind of not really rolled that well. And then life flask. All right, so that is sort of the gear. Let's go over the passive tree. Passive tree is so I am doing something, I guess, a little bit different than some of the other builds that I've seen. And one thing I wanted to mention is like life leech when you have low damage is really bad on this build, life and mana leech. So what I did was when I was on low level, I invested a lot in the hit damage, right? So right now I'm using the master here for 40% increased physical damage with skills that cost life. Before I was using, when I didn't have a lot of damage, I was using the hits have a 50% chance to ignore enemy physical damage reduction, and getting a lot of this more hit damage really helped with the leech early on. Like there's some over here, Bastion Breaker, this kind of area here was really good for, you know, early damage. Even actually it was more damage early on because for some reason I don't know why. Okay, so passive tree here, we're going for a lot of the max resistance over here. So you can see about 81 res and then 82 because of the chest. So that's really good. Going for a CB immunity here, and then elemental resistances cannot be lowered by curses. So I just started using this because I had to run some maps that had elemental weakness, but most of the time I'm running the one on the very bottom. The damaging ailments cannot be inflicted on you when you already have one, and non-damaging ailments can't be inflicted, blah blah blah, right? So that one is really good. It's pretty much like ailment immunity almost, or something like that. It also does help against poison. Okay, so that is the tree. You can go check out the POB if you're interested. All right, so that is sort of the build, guys. Kind of a quick video, but I wanted to go over what I'm playing right now, and because I do think it is actually quite a nice build for hardcore. I mean, I did make it to level 90, right? You know, softcore player playing hardcore, and so the build definitely did carry quite a bit. Alright, so as for like future plans for the build, probably try to get to at least level 95 because of the mystery boxes, or not mystery boxes, but the, you know, MTX and that kind of stuff. Maybe try to get some of those, and then just see how far we go, I guess, right? Maybe we will end up killing some pinnacle bosses, who knows? But I mean, on a bleed build, probably going to be kind of painful to do, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that'll be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.